Super excited today. I have an incredible guest, goes by Dr. Nataliya. I cannot pronounce her last name. Don't worry about it. Triple board certified, talking all things longevity, how to optimize your health, how to do it for free, and how you can take control of your health. You want to talk? Okay.
From stem cells.
Yes. I love stem cells.
I love stem cells too. You get them done also?
I've got them done. The last one I did, love you, doc, was a lot. Yeah.
The more doesn't always mean better. You know that, right?
No, of course not. But it was. It wasn't about more. It was about that I had 4 areas or 5, I think it was 4 areas of potential opportunity for them. So that was a lot of needles. And I'm a high tolerant for pain, but the way we did it, which I totally understand behind because I know enough to be dangerous. The way they did it is they put all the needles, they set them, and then they got me, right? And we did adipose for that one. That was interesting. It worked extremely well.
Your own?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It worked extremely well. I felt so good that I went and lifted weights like a few months later, and I was like, oh, I could do this now. Bad idea. So I went from like a 10 out of 10 home run to like my fault. Now it's like pretty damn good though. It's way better than it was, and it's like an 8-9. But I'm like, I know I could get back to that 10 out of 10. So we're gonna do a little update, little touch-up.
Touch-up. Was it here or you had to go abroad?
It was here. I did it here, and really, really awesome.
Like a joint injection?
It was joints. I had a spur. I had a torn. The main reason I went was I had a torn supraspinatus from playing sports. I keep re-injuring it, and I re-injured it about maybe 2 years now. But I have had extremely incredible personal outcomes. I had major inflammation here. I only did PRP, gone. Major inflammation here from playing the same sport, water polo, from pushing people, both elbows, but mainly this one, I think, and tennis elbow. Did PRP and stem, gone. And then I actually had a different pain, and I got a massage, and then it was fully gone. But that gnawing, annoying pain went away. And then all the pain that was happening was actually not in my supraspinatus. It was like radiating everywhere else. All that pain is gone. I still have a little, very minor discomfort, but I'm a humongous fan. So you did stem cell training, and why did you go there, and what did you want to get out of it?
I wanted to learn more. I was always interested in the regenerative field. And what did I get out of it? I got my own procedure. Okay. I learned how to do some injections, and I'll be basically bringing all of that into my practice. That's
Which injections did you learn how to do?
Well, we did shoulder and knee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not doing spine. I'm not touching that. But maybe like, subcutaneous is fine around the area. But like...
Yeah, spine's a little...
So you have to have OR, like fluoro, all of that stuff.
100%. I'm not sure if that's worth it. There's not a lot of people doing that either. No. I know only of 2 in this whole area. That's not true. I know 2 that are highly qualified to do it.
It's like you need to have the space, you need to have the training for that. I'd much rather not mess around with that. So.
Fair enough. So shoulders is good. Knees, head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Yeah. Very good. What about aesthetics? Did you do any of the aesthetic stuff? Because I feel like it does really well there.
Yeah. Well, I didn't get it done. I've had things done, like exosomes myself, and I do it for people too, like microneedling. Okay. But yeah, I want to incorporate that as well as a service, because it's like the before and afters. You look at people. Yes. Like, who are you?
It looks awesome.
It looks fantastic.
I think, that's a super exciting field as well. Did you end up doing the IV?
I did end up getting the IV.
Did you feel any different, or I still haven't done that?
Well, I had this injury in my hamstring. I actually tore it when I was not attempting a split. I used to do splits like during my hot yoga class. I didn't warm up properly, and I just felt it snapped on me, like in the middle. I could not walk. I can tell you for like
it's like a rubber band breaking.
Oh my gosh.
I've been there.
And I'm like talking about it, and I physically in my body, I feel the pain right now.
The body remembers.
Yeah. So there was this chiropractor, Dr. Ryan. Shout out to him. He's amazing. He's like only treats very well-known clients now, but I was lucky enough for him to actually work on my hamstring. Mm-hmm. And he literally walked all over me. He's like, "Hey, can you lay down on the floor? Is that okay?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I lay down. He was literally walking all over me, and he said, "Pressure and time, pressure and time." So he would just pull for like 20 minutes. He was like literally standing on my hamstring, and then I had my IV stem cell infusion. Next morning, gone. Pain gone. Tightness gone. But it's coming back a little bit now, and it's just because I need to warm up.
Because you felt, because
I need to stretch. I need to exercise.
Yeah, very interesting. So I know you're triple board certified. You want to tell me a little bit more about yourself? Come on.
Sure.
Come on, that's a lot. All right, board certified. Make sure your doctor is board certified. Number one, she's triple board certified. So tell me a little bit more about yourself.
Triple board certified in internal functional medicine, aesthetics, and regenerative medicine. So my primary focus was, hormone optimization, peptides, all the fun stuff, anti-aging, longevity. But I feel like getting a little tired of hearing the word anti-aging, longevity, to be honest. I think it's going to
Sorry, Dr. Lou.
No, I think that's what I feel like, what happened with the word biohacking. I feel like it started getting a bad rep because people were misusing it, and everyone's an expert on the internet. Everyone's a biohacker, I love biohacking. I do it myself all the time. But so I'm more so interested in regenerative therapies now, with the stem cells and so on and so forth, the exosomes. I was doing aesthetic treatments, and now mostly like treating chronic, lingering, pain versus chronic conditions like autoimmune diseases. So that's my primary focus.
And that's where you want it. That's the practice
that's the
moving forward. That is where you're going.
This is where I am, and this is where I'm going.
And this is where I'm going. Exactly. Okay, very interesting. So you have a very interesting background of three intersecting, but not often intersecting. And I totally understand what you're saying. It's the Wild West in longevity right now. I don't know. One of the reasons we do this podcast is I feel like, and I believe that physicians should be in charge of medicine, period. Right? And there's not everybody that can afford to go to a high-end medicine person, but we can give them enough information, and good information, where a client or someone watching this can make a great educated decision. And I do know a lot of great people that are coaching in the world, and they work with MDs, and I think they do a fantastic job. But I think at the end of the day, having someone with a very broad knowledge base that knows how to treat the person from inside out and bring it all together, that is extremely important. But I believe that I talk about it, but I still believe that the physicians, should be in charge of this world. And that we need to find a way to bring you guys back to the front. And so then that person that just decided to do a yoga class, which you do yoga, I try sometimes, is not the person that you go to. But it is South Florida, and people are exchanging peptides
like
in
candy.
gyms.
Like candy.
Like candy, online, and that's fine. And I have a lot of very high-end affluent friends that order from these, God knows where your peptides come from, online, and they're not, do they feel better? A lot of them do. We can talk about that if you like. But the reality is, what are you treating? What are you optimizing? Right? Are we thinking about your health, how that integrates with that, and how you, long-term, are we actually mapping that out? Probably not. Actually, not at all, because I talk to you guys all the time. They'll ask me the peptides questions. I'm like, dude, I'm not going to answer outside of my scope. But yeah, I can totally see why you'd be frustrated with that. And I think a lot of doctors are, and it's very difficult to be at the forefront if you're not completely owning the algorithm. And I am super excited that a lot of doctors are starting to get into the algorithm and speak out and say the things amongst peers and for the general population, because it's been a long time coming. So I know where you want to go. I know where you want to do, but tell me, what does your practice look like? What does your perfect practice look like? And what are you trying to develop for your patients?
Sure. So I was actually just a little bit of a background and everything.
Sure, please.
So I was working as a locums physician, so traveling physician for 2.5 years, straight out of residency. Got to see firsthand, the hospitalists and how life is really like in that medical world, which really did not align with me, to be honest, from the very beginning. I was always more into holistic wellness, like from the very beginning. When I used to drink chlorophyll water 15 years ago when I lived in Canada, because I moved from Ukraine when I was 16. I moved to Canada. I grew up there, so my mom would give me. She used to work in this like wellness pharmacy, like holistic pharmacy, not like, your typical pharmacy. So they were selling all the herbs and stuff. And she would give me these like chlorophyll pills, and I would put them in my water, and I would bring it to school. And everyone's like, what is wrong with you? Like, why are you drinking green water? What is this? And now it's like a common thing. Like people are drinking this all the time, nonstop. So I was always into that world. Spend a lot of summers on my grandma's farm, farm to table foods. I got to appreciate the significance of, when you make your own food and what you put into your body. So ever since that age, I understood the connection. So when I was in medical school, that connection was always present with me, but I always felt very disconnected from the medicine that we were being taught, which is all very pharma heavy, and everyone's trying to, pharma subsidizes all of these medical schools and incentivizes them to tell us about metoprolol and all these statins and medications. So when I was doing residency, I saw how that medicine did not really align with me. So when I graduated from internal medicine, at the same time, I was doing my fellowship for functional medicine while I was, finishing my residency. So I finished my residency, and I worked as a traveling physician for a little bit. And I got to see how people, really suffer from, unfortunately, the medical system that we're in right now. And I said, okay, no more. So I quit that job. I was working nights as a physician. So imagine I was working 14 nights in a row. One time I actually worked 22 nights in a row. And by the end of it, I was ready to be admitted to a psychiatric ward.
Check me in. What do you mean? No, you're going home. No, I wanted you checked in.
So it was very intense. For someone, I also felt like, we're promoting sleep so much and this importance of circadian rhythms. I always say that your health stems on 3 most important pillars. It's your sleep, your food, and exercise. And then you can add stress and everything else. Like, everything else, supplements are supplemental to everything else. Peptides are supplemental to everything else. So you have your 3 core pillars. And I felt like I was not fully being honest with myself and did not have the alignment that I was seeking, because I was like cheating on myself. I was working nights, and here I am trying to promote longevity. Which, if working nights had its own perks, because the hospital is usually more quiet, and I was admitting patients a lot. So after that, I quit my hospitalist job, and I saw the need that I was one of the first people to start talking about wellness and sharing the story, like about the supplements, the food, and the importance of what you put into your body, exercise. And people started reaching out to me just organically on social media. So I turned that into my whole consulting concierge business. And I slowly transitioned from my hospitalist job into my concierge business, which was, mostly telemedicine. I do some home visits. And right now I'm in the middle of expanding and actually opening a clinic, an office. So stay tuned, you guys.
Super exciting.
Super exciting. If you need any regenerative therapies, stem cells.
We'll know where soon.
We'll know where soon. So, yeah.
You said something offline that I'll bring up. We can always edit out if you want. But I think your training is excellent, because you can see how to slow down stop and stabilize the patient. And one of the patients, like internal medicine and that kind of, how do we treat the patient that's already coming in sick? How do we get them okay or give them better numerical values so they have less mortality rate, right? Like, how do we that? And you were telling me off camera that you had someone that you had to send to, you want to say it? Yeah.
To a zoo.
I thought she was lying. I was like, what do you mean a zoo?
Like, why?
Are you talking about an imaging center that's really busy? I mean, it is like a zoo, but go ahead.
No, I was talking about, so part of my job is an admitting physician. I was working in Kentucky. Hello, Kentucky. And at a very small hospital, a regional hospital, and they would send out, from smaller hospitals, they would send people to our hospital. Ours was like bigger, right? So one time, I had to send a patient to a zoo because their body weight was too much to fit into a regular MRI machine. So that just shows what kind of, national problem we have also. And it's the more, north you go, because we think Miami, Florida, everyone looks good, everyone exercises, everyone's so in tune with their bodies. I just got back from California from stem cells training. Everyone looks fantastic, fabulous, but that does not exist when you go further up, So I think it's really important that we talk about all the supplements, we talk about stem cells, we talk about peptides, we talk about all these fancy things, but at the end of the day, it all comes down to really, again, 3 pillars: what you eat, what you put into your body, and you don't have to be a millionaire, you don't have to have all these hyperbaric oxygen chambers, saunas, like it's amazing, but the best things in life are actually free. It's like sunlight, get outside, touch grass, do a little prayer, be aligned with yourself, with your soul, and really pay attention to what you put into your body, because if you can do it for yourself, like I cannot do that for you. Like your health is your own responsibility. And this, a lot of patients come in and like, oh, this doctor. Yes, some of the doctors are not maybe as empathetic or not as, they don't lead as well. But at the end of the day, it's your own responsibility as well.
Yeah, no, it's interesting you say that. Your food is your fuel. If you think of like the nicest car, you have to put in a very specific fuel. If you put in any other fuel, you will break a Bugatti. You will literally break a $1.8 million car very quickly, or any of these fancy cars. If you treat your body like that, and over time, actually our bodies are fascinating and able to adapt for a very long time until they break. You can talk about that with mental health. You can talk about that with health and food. I mean, and those kind of can correlate too with food. There's so many things about the food and the recovery. And with recovery, your body adapts very well until it breaks. And even with that being said, people still get sick. And that is where medicine comes in with responsibility. And with that being, a close dear friend of mine, does everything you want with those 3 pillars. Really does. Has some wine, but that's it. Everything else as healthy as it gets. And when he was going through the process of meeting oncologists, and he's like, well, this is what I'm eating. What do you think? He was trying to get feedback. And we had already developed a whole plan around the food intake while he was going through this process. And he abided by it. Great. A lot of people don't. A lot of patients don't. To a T. And one of the oncologists like, no, dude, I don't care what you eat. Like, you want to eat McDonald's, eat McDonald's.
No.
And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, and he's a very smart man. And it's just very interesting because they don't dial into that stuff, because his job was basically, let me cut that out, let me radiate it, and even with him doing the right things, unfortunately, he had to go, and he has really good, he's going to have a very good outcome, thank goodness. But it's just so interesting because they teach you to just go fast, treat what I have in front of me. And this is what became chaos in the words of longevity, is because of that, people are pushing back. Someone said yesterday in a really interesting business meeting I had, we were having a very similar conversation, but just over lunch. He's like, post-COVID, things got a little crazy and it became the wild, wild west. And people are screaming from the top, drink this, eat that. Some are doctors, some are not doctors, and nobody knows what information is correct right now. But very simply from that, yes, you can do that for free. And then you can become educated from people like you posting online. These are some tests you should do, some lab tests you should do, or like we do, we post that online. And if you can't go to someone and pay them cash, that's okay. You can go to a physician. Or even if you're doing one of these online panels, you should still talk to a practitioner that knows, medical doctor mainly, what to do for you, right? How to guide you in a way that helps you stay healthy. So in that point, you can even take responsibility of your health without the financial means of hiring a concierge doctor, and you can still be the captain of yourself. But even if you have the financial means, you are responsible for yourself and working, collaborating with a physician and having a partnership as you move forward. So that's one thing people think. They hear concierge doctor. Even yesterday, if you're watching this, it'd be great. Very fluent person, like, oh man, yeah, it's crazy. That's such a great thing. And they're super successful and they don't even think about paying someone to help them.
I just wanted to make a quick little, remark on what you said. I think it's so hard to find a patient who's going to be compliant and who's actually willing to do everything that it takes. And it's such a shame that this friend of yours went to an oncologist and he's like, no, eat whatever you want. So
he didn't end up with that kind of oncologist.
So,
he said, I'm out of
good for
here.
him. You know?
Yeah, no. So set on 5 different places.
Right. So it's already so hard to find a patient who's actually going to comply with it. And in this regard, you have a patient who's coming to a doctor and it's like, I'm willing to do it all, to the T. Like, no, just do whatever, eat whatever. Yeah. So that's such a shame. That's what I call it, the lost opportunity. And I think what's happening right now in the world of longevity, anti-aging, and the wellness space, a lot of doctors are actually falling behind on all of this. And we were not taught none of nutrition classes in medical school, which is such a shame. I think that nutrition should be the #1 class in medical school. And people who don't know what's happening in the wellness industry, and by people I mean us doctors, and they're not keeping up, I just think they might get pushed out of the space, or unless they continue practicing traditional insurance-based model, which, as we know, is not heavily incentivized to keep you healthy, to say the least.
No.
So yeah, I think it's important that doctors stay up to date about what's happening and what's going on. And a lot of people, my colleagues, reach out to me. How did you learn about peptides? How did you learn about self-learning, podcasts, seminars, masterclasses, books? You need to stay in touch. It's very, very important to keep up with all these things.
I will say too, we've created a system to make it very hard for you. When you were working those 22 straight nights, I don't think you had probably. Very difficult for you to have the bandwidth to take this on, but you hit a point where I can't do this, so that's what created you to do this, right? When you're constantly seeing all these patients, not incentivized with insurance, making internal medicine $30 to $60 if you're doing private practice, maybe $100 per patient, maybe, probably not in this area at least, unless you have great contracts, which is rare, because they'll fight each other down to the bottom of the barrel. And as a hospitalist, you get paid per shift or per week or whatever, and they push you to get more patients admitted, right? So it's very difficult with the system we've created, where the profit's mainly going to all the other people to give you the time, because the time at that point, you're in the system for 20, 30 years, smart that you got out to do this, because it's hard when you're stuck. You want to be with your family, your friends, and when the little time you have, or the week you have off after 20 days, it's like, my God, 3 days to recover probably, at least. I would think maybe even more. So it's become difficult, but that's not an excuse, and I, as a person that seeks medical advice, I have a lot of information at my fingertips. I'm a little more knowledgeable because I get to talk to people like you, and I work in a medical facility. So I can always ask doctors very, very easily, and I have a lot of doctors on my phone. We are becoming much more informed as patients, which can be annoying too. You can talk about that. It's okay. It could be super. Don't be that annoying person. Ask a good question. Be good about it. And those doctors are going to get pushed out because people expect more. But I also am there's a conspiracy theory in me that's dude, this has been built to break. It is built to break. We have some of the most well-educated. Everybody wants an American doctor. Everybody wants someone here. They're super well educated. They mean well, most of them. By far, most of them. And it's like, they just can't do it because it's not there for them to do it. But that's why you and the people that we've been talking about are at the leading edge of medicine and able to look at it in a way and push this forward. And I just hope it's not too late. I don't think it is. I hope it's not too late for the American doctor.
I hope so too, but as you said, patients are becoming more educated with the growth and boom of social media. I personally think there should be like a separate Instagram just for health education alone, so where the information is vetted and you know it's like checked and everything is accurate, because as you said, there's so much stuff online. Nobody knows eggs are good for you, oh, eggs are bad for you, coffee is good for you, coffee is bad for you. So
and I don't know if it's always that simple.
yeah, it's not.
I'm a slow metabolizer of coffee and I freaking love coffee, you know, and some people blow through it, and you know, like it's not, it's you can disagree with me whenever you want, by the way. It's not one size fits all, guys.
It's not.
Our biology is, we're human, but we're completely different. Like even my mom and I, different.
But let me ask you, how do you know you're a slow metabolizer of coffee?
I ran my genetics.
There you go. So how many people do actually run their genetics tests?
You want to hear a better part? I'm a bad patient. I pound coffee. I drank so much coffee, I had to stop. Coming back to the pillars that you said.
Sleep.
I was in a huge cycle of bad sleep, too much caffeine, bad sleep, too much caffeine. It didn't matter what peptides you could have put me on, what vitamins you put. It gave me a little feel better, right? But it didn't make me feel awesome.
Yeah.
I was trying to treat the symptom, not the cause. And I know better. I didn't want to give up my coffee. I even told the doctor, I go, I don't care what you say, I'm not giving it up. And then I had to think about it. This is recent. I was like, ooh.
Did you give it up?
Let me just do it. I haven't given it up. I've reduced it significantly. Now we can talk offline more about that. 5 cups a day
instead of 10?
Instead of 1,000 milligrams, I'm like a few hundred now. I was pushing over 1,000 probably half the week plus. And I know it better, right? Yeah. So I'm sorry, I went a little off board there, but we are becoming smarter, but even with that, it's not black or white. And even me knowing this and being around physicians now for 16 years, 13 years here with a practice, and then 5 years before that, well, not my practice, but I work with them. And then 5 years before this practice, working with physicians. Like, it's not that simple.
It's not that simple.
And so you have to dial in. You have to understand. And I need someone to tell me. And even me, I was like, hey, these aren't going to work. Your vitamins aren't going to work if you just, okay. And by the way, for years, not just once. Okay. And then finally it clicked. But it's not that, but we want to one size cures all.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that. The human body is so complex, as you know, and everyone is, and that's why I've always said that medicine should be personalized, individualized. There is no one size fits all. You have to do the testing, you have to do all the appropriate blood work, and most importantly, you also need a person who knows what they're doing to synthesize all of that together, because, you know, I have patients, sometimes they go to very expensive clinics. They pay $25,000 for a whole workup. And then they come to me with their 80-page reports because the doctors over there, they don't know what to make out of it.
Yeah, here.
So here, and then I'm sitting there, 80 pages, sipping through, thanks to AI nowadays, which is, I think, is going to be another huge, it's a breakthrough and makes our work better. But you still, even if you're using AI, you still need to be able to synthesize that information and make sure things, make sense. So you have to be seeing a physician who is very well versed in these areas, and you can't just like blindly follow ChatGPT's advice, because it lies, as we all know. I've seen it so many times that it gives like some weird recommendations.
I did build a report for me. It checked a box off that had nothing to do with the report. I was like, I didn't say that. And that wasn't on the thing I uploaded. And I was like, no, that's not true. Thanks for catching that.
Right. So to your point, yes, there are so many, a lot of these tests available, and everybody should get them done to an extent, because if you're getting this, I also think that a different test can give you a different result, and I've seen it. Even the same test being tested at a different day and time is going to give you a different result. So I'm referring to biological age. There's a company, and I had a patient who he was like 38 according to age, and he did that test in the morning, but he took it at night. He was like 45. So go figure. So you have to take everything with a grain of salt as well.
Yeah, and it is, for the most, there are some advanced tests, but there's a lot of very normal testing that normal doctors do that they're quick snapshots. So I take 2 vitamin B pills, or I do an IV of vitamin B, and you take my plasma level of vitamin B, and 2 hours later it's completely different. There's that.
Yep.
I ran this test myself just because a company challenged me to do it, and they weren't selling to doctors anymore, which is very interesting. But they go, there's 3 tests in this market. It's not aging, by the way. And it was like, put John Doe, Sally Mae, and whatever, another name. And it was all my blood. And it was to measure some markers. And I actually did multiple tests per company. 2 of the 3 companies came back different. And not mildly, like significant difference. The other company was barely any variability. And then moving forward, that's the test that we use moving forward. But it was very interesting. And I was like, wow, that's so fascinating. But even with that, it's data you need to take and guide and figure out, okay, well, what does this mean? How do we look at it? How do we this? And okay, maybe it's good data, not bad data. That's what you want to figure out for that tailored patient, but take that and understand how to help them. And I think we want a simple pill, and I actually had this conversation, 3 people I know that just did regenerative injections. 2 of the 3 are doing great. One's okay, it was shoulder actually. A relief of pain and can go to sleep. I'm going, well, that's a win.
Yeah.
But I believe the story around it is it helps everyone. It works for everyone. And I'm like, I hope it works for you. I was like, dude.
He might just need a little more therapy, so a couple more injections. So sometimes, it takes a little bit.
But that needs to be guided.
Yeah.
He
only had 1 injection?
He had 1, and he may need, well, I just told you my story, right? I actually did extremely well. I mean, it's 4 injection areas in 1 procedure. And I'm doing a touch-up, I'm like, okay, maybe I'll get back to where I was before I decide to do stupid snatches. Never doing that again. Everybody that I tell, including, I already know this, again with the coffee, same thing. I knew, I was so dumb, and I did it anyways. So it's like, but that story has to be told. We're going to do this and then this. And by the way, it seems sometimes patients don't like that. Because I know someone that does that, and their close rate is not as high as another regenerative facility, but the guy gives you, this is the map, this is what we're aiming to do. If for whatever reason it doesn't work 100%, which is what I'm just telling him about, then we're going to either do this or another one, and we're going to figure it out. That's what you want. We are going to figure it out. No one has a perfect solution pill for everyone. Otherwise, there would be no need for you guys. We would just all take the chlorophyll pill.
That's right. And that's why I always tell my patient, we're 50-50 partners here, right? I give my 50, I can give my 60, I can give my 90%. But if you don't give me even 10, this partnership is not going to work. So we always need to, collaborate together. But what is it in human behavior that better? Not to drink coffee this much. Not to do those, exercises. Why do people still do it? We know better, we still do it. What is it in human behavior? Like, why?
I don't know. I probably would have been eaten by a saber-toothed tiger, right? It's that, and that's where I think the behavior comes in. I like something, I want to keep doing it. I don't want to change. Or it's not like a imminent danger like a saber-toothed tiger. I like the way I feel. I love the way it tastes. I love good coffee. And you know what? And I'm not as tired when I'm on it, right? And so it becomes habitual. And then when you try to pull it out, because now it's a thing that I associate with my day and being energetic, let's use coffee as an example, it doesn't feel good for a few days. And you start self-negotiating. Well, if I just have 1 more today, it'll be okay. And I think this is what a lot of people do, whether it's alcohol, wine, bad food, donuts, you name it. And by the way, I love deliciously terrible food. I love cookies. I destroyed cookies on Monday during the Super Bowl. Whew, I didn't eat that much bad. I had meat
And
a few sides and a lot of cookies, all right? And I was like, I'm not gonna have all the French fries and stuff. I'm gonna eat cookies. So I think it's just, we self-negotiate. You know, the food scientists and everyone, they're super brilliant. And I love, you know, sugar is, we know is not great for you and very addictive. And I love my little Cuban coffee. I do. And I'm like, that's my bad thing. Yes. And I wanted to get one before this, but I forgot. That's okay.
I'm going to get one after.
That's fine. Perfect. See, we're going to do something bad. But, you know, I think it's until it hits you hard, which this is very internal medicine, until it hits you in the face. And you're like, oh, shoot, I have tachycardia. Oh, shoot, whatever it is, right? Like, maybe I need to stop. And then even most of the time, people go back, like smokers and stuff like that. So I think I'm fortunate that I never want to need, I felt like I needed that, honestly. But like, I was just like, oh, let me try it. I tested it. I mean, I knew the answer. I tested it. I was like, man, I actually feel so much better. Those vitamins are actually, they're working actually, because I'm not so overwhelmed with this caffeine. And the working out, I'm like, it's gonna be good for my counter rotation. I know the body pretty dang well. I was like, well, I'm gonna go light, I'll be okay. No, bad idea, why would you do that? Now, I'm not 20 anymore, you know? So it's this little self-negotiation, why not? And I mean, this week I've had some terrible workouts. I'm like, it's okay. Because I had to learn for the 100th time, you know, not to do it. You know?
Does the coffee affect your sleep? How do you sleep?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The coffee does not help with my sleep.
And you still do it.
Not so bad. I know my hard cutoff is usually about 2. I have to be done with coffee by 3. So I try not to, if I make the coffee at 2:15, I'm like, it has to be done by 3. And even then, when I'm on my good behavior, I'm having coffee between 1 and 1:30, done. And minimizing it in the morning. So, and maybe one day I'll test not having it. But I was just listening to Chris Williamson, and he's like, I did it for 500 days. It's miserable in his cool British accent. And I was like, dude, that sounds miserable. I'm like, no.
500 days is a lot.
And I even found places that have good decaf espresso. Okay. And I would drive out of my way. And so the last few weeks, not so much. But that was like all of December. It was awesome. And I stopped. I didn't have any wine when I did that part. I was good. I'm like, I'm going to do a stem cell injection. Yeah, let me be a good patient. I did nothing inflammatory. Right. Yeah. I did some fasting, nothing toxic.
No NSAIDs.
Water.
No like pain pills.
No, okay. I wasn't allowed to.
Good. No, you're not.
No, they gave me. I forgot what he allowed me to do for the first few days, just because I think on day 2 or 3, I'm like, dude, I can't sleep. He's like, okay, let me give you like 3 of these things. And that was great. And then once I got through that little phase of just the soreness, because it was deep in here, I was good. But I really, really went for it. And it worked extremely well until I was hard-headed. But yeah, I don't know what it is. You tell me what it is. That's my long talk about human nature.
I keep asking myself the same question. Like, why do people still do it? I don't know. But I think the moment you start negotiating with yourself is the moment you kind of give into your, I don't want to say weakness. It's like you're trying to cheat the system a little bit. For me personally, you know, people are like, how do you have the motivation to wake up and go to the gym right away? I'm like, I don't even think about it. I wake up, my brain does not say, oh, let me stay in bed. Yeah, I'm just there. That's it. I've already made the decision. I don't let my brain to overtake that decision and steal that away from me. So I'm just there. Next thing you know, I'm on the treadmill warming up, whatever, and then you're at the gym. Like, you have to.
I think there's a good book about it. I read it, and I brought some of it, like Atomic Habits. Make it easy to go to the gym in the morning. Yeah. So just make it simple to do the things that you don't want to do. Remove the frictions, stuff like that.
Resistance.
But the other thing that I think it's from that book too, and I heard it again on the same podcast I just talked about. Don't do it 2 days in a row. Don't skip the gym 2 days in a row.
Oh, yeah.
Don't eat cookies 2 days in a row.
Chris Williamson talks about that too.
Yes, that was Chris Williamson. Yeah. And I was like, man, that's great. And I think it's also from, I think Atomic Habits talks about that. Yeah. So what I did, which is hilarious and probably the best that I ever did, is let me just finish the cookies today. I'm like, just get it out of the way, because if I have a cookie, 2 cookies every day, I just destroy that week. Yeah. I mean, they're this big. But like, Thank you so much. Your cookies are delicious. You know who I'm talking to. And it's that. And so it was awesome. The cookies were gone.
I want to try these cookies now. Like,
I'll get them. It's there. I'm like a cookie connoisseur. Like, and that's the other thing. It has to be worth it. That part I've gotten good about for the most part. I'm like, nah, you know, but these are worth it. But so that's 2 days in a row. Don't miss a workout 2 days in a row. And I rarely do that. And don't over caffeinate 2 days in a row. So I did over caffeinate a few days ago. Yesterday I did not. Today I will not. And then I'm going back down to what I want, where I want to be. And you have to have the discipline, and instead of self-negotiating, the self-talk of this is bad, let's stop it, let's get back to where I need to be. I think most of us need to be somewhat nice to ourselves about it. And some people, I do both, like need David Goggins yelling in their ear. I'm cool with that. If it's like I'm about to do it on the 4th day or 3rd day, I'm like, I'll listen to that. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm acting that way and I'm done. I'm like, that's fine. But whatever it is to motivate you to not do that or not do it consistently, it's good. And a bunch of people I've talked to recently that have become inquired and became members are like, oh, I'm pretty healthy. I still smoke a little bit, but I don't drink like I used to. But I still drink. And I still eat at the restaurant 5 nights a week. But I'm healthy. I'm like, or very, very well-to-do man's like, I'm super healthy. I mean, I did have to get airlifted for, it wasn't the bad, thing in my heart. But they weren't sure, so they airlifted me. I'm fine. I'm healthy beside. I was super healthy unto that. I'm healthy now. I'm like, dude, something happened that you are not healthy. You do not have a dissection in your heart, and you're healthy. I'm sorry. It could be a lot of reasons, but you don't have any of those very obvious reasons. I'm like, okay, we're gonna get you super healthy. Don't worry. But we think we're okay because we feel okay.
We feel okay, exactly.
Yeah, because our body's fascinated.
And your biomarkers can be all over the place, and you're like, I'm okay, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And I think what interesting thing you said, it has to be worth it. So for me, I stopped drinking alcohol like altogether. And over the past year, I would have a glass of wine here and there. And it was never like a heavy drinker or anything. Don't think I was an alcoholic. I'm Ukrainian. I'm not chugging, vodka shots left and right. But I would start seeing, that it really affected my sleep, even like one glass of wine. And, I love a nice steak with a medium rare, fantastic with a nice Cabernet Sauvignon, please. But then, I would wake up the next morning and go, why do I feel so like just hungover? And the more you go without it, the more impact it has on my whatever wearable device in the morning would tell like, elevated heart rate and your sleep was
100%
crap. So, and I've come to realize that to me, having that glass of wine is just not worth it the next day.
Yep. That was a conversation I had with my favorite Europeans on Sunday as we're drinking wine. We're like, we know tomorrow
we're gonna feel
we're stealing happiness from tomorrow. And then we talked about caffeine. Caffeine stealing energy from tomorrow. So the more I have today, the worse tomorrow's gonna be. And you put both of those together, it's a nightmare. So you have to also look into yourself. I'm going to go to the gym no matter what, right? So not everybody can do that. I know that this is going to happen. So I've also optimized, for the most part, 90% of the time I've optimized my wine drinking where I feel okay the next day, not terrible, not great. And every now and then, New Year's Eve or something, I know what's happening, right? I'm like, all right, tomorrow I'm hitting the sauna, I'm not working out. Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, that's gonna be a rough day. So, but it's rare. It's a few times a year. But that for me, I didn't, and this is a personal choice and that's fine. I understand. I think about it all the time. Yeah. But I do enjoy it. So I'm like, I'm still not ready to let go of that, but maybe one day I will. And that's okay. But you have to also understand the decisions you make change the day. And if I do that, if I'm drinking a glass, and that's why I don't really drink until the weekend, partially, and this is not me it's because I know if I have more than one, this is completely affected.
Oh yeah.
And by the way, if it's after 7:30, forget about it.
Right.
If I have one at 6, just to have a conversation like now, and I'm having water with it, maybe a 10%, 15, 20% difference, I can handle that. But I know that. And so I'm very particular for the most part, with the exception of the weekends. Depends what I'm doing. I dial that in. because I know even drinking too much on Saturday will affect my Tuesday, you know? So I totally understand that. And I think that's why there's such a huge movement for the non-drinking. And I totally get it. But you have to know yourself. If you have 2 glasses of wine, are you going to get up and go for a walk, or you're not? Or is that feeling bad worth it or not? And you have to make those decisions and compound that health. But yeah, I totally get it. I just really love wine. I really do. It's so good. Maybe one day.
I love a good glass of wine. Don't get me wrong.
And that's the other thing. I've been very picky about the wine I have now.
As you should be.
Very picky.
Oh yeah, when you know you have such a limited margin for like error, you have like limited choice, and you want that wine to be the best of the best of the best because you don't have room to spoil it on 100%. Mediocre wines.
And I'm going much more towards European, which, sorry, Napa, you know I'm going to go out and visit you guys this year, but you guys are killing me.
What's your
Spain, France, Italy. I've been really diving back into those wines because I like a big cab, and they seem to affect me less, and I'm starting to really dial in on that. And then some of my favorite wines, not all expensive, but for the most part, like I'm like, if I'm going to have wine tonight, it's going to be great, and I want to really enjoy it and understand it's about the people around me. It's about that moment in time, and it's about enjoying being present. But there are wines from Argentina and Chile that are ultra organic, and one from Italy that's a Prosecco that don't make me feel bad almost at all. And I can have 3 glasses, and they're $10 to $20, by the way, and they taste pretty darn good.
We'll link them below.
Oh, yeah. I'll link them below. Oh, no, I promise you, I do not feel. I've even had way too much on it, and I wake up the next day and I'm like, I actually feel okay. I had like 6 glasses of wine. I'm like, I feel okay. I'm like, this is wild. And I'm like, why don't I drink that more often? But that's when I do drink. And so, yeah, I totally understand.
But then there's also an argument to be made about the whole, the setting that you're in. And you said it's about that specific moment in time, the people you're with, and the social connection that you're experiencing that point in time. And people are actually saying, have that glass of wine because long term, you're creating the happiness and like social connections, and you need that for longevity.
Social connections are super important. We're tribal, and people forget that. I feel we've gotten lonely with being able to talk to people on text messaging and DMing and whatever. You don't even talk to people hardly at all in person. So I think we've kind of moved away from that, and a lot of doctors are talking about that too. But I think if you don't associate it with, I have to have a drink if I'm at a place where there's drinks. You don't have to do that. You don't. That's one thing I've gotten good about. I'm like, oh no, I'll have a soda water. That's my thing.
I drink sparkling water with lemon.
I'm like, that's my thing. I'm like, I don't really want to drink tonight. I don't want to feel bad tomorrow. I'm at an event. It's an open bar, and if I'm not interested in feeling bad or I have a big day tomorrow, I want to have a big workout, I'll do sparkling. You don't have. That's the thing. We usually associate things with things. I've been able to break that pretty well. I'm like, no. And part of that was from the stem cell thing. Like I was like, man, because I wasn't drinking, and I was like, I feel great. And I was at a birthday dinner, and I was drinking sparkling water, and I had great conversations, and I felt amazing, and
alcohol is very cytotoxic to stem cells. So if you had your stem cells therapy, injection, whatever, IV, do not drink alcohol. Do not take any pain meds like Tylenol, all of that, because it will actually kill the cells that you just put into your body and paid a lot of money for.
Yeah, thousands of dollars to just destroy them, just to ignite them. Yeah, so it was...
Well, we had a case where the training that I was at, and the doctor that was doing the training, she was actually telling us a story about a man who loved his wine. I mean, loved his wine. So he had just undergone stem cells therapy with her, and that same night they went out to dinner. He had one bottle of wine, and she told him, "Do not drink this. It's cytotoxic." And he still ended up having the benefits of stem cells and regenerative therapy in his knees. After the therapy, even though he did drink a bottle of wine. Don't do it. But
don't do it. It's not worth it. Why are you going to spend all these $1,000 and have her put a needle in you, and then you're never going to know whether it was that, and then you have to go down that rabbit hole again. And then
it still worked.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I've done like some PRP and stuff before where I didn't really follow full protocol. But it worked pretty well. But yeah, I don't think it's worth the risk, especially if you're going through like an advanced stem cell therapy treatment. It's not. Just take a little time
Right.
off. It's okay.
If you're getting like 30-40% of the benefit, imagine you can get 80% of the
100%.
benefit. So like, why even sabotage?
That's how I thought. I was like, what do I need to do? Asked multiple doctors, including my stem cell doctor. I was like, what do I need to do to make this optimal?
Have you tried ozone before stem cells?
I have not. Not.
That's the sequence: ozone, stem cells therapy.
Yeah, we have to talk about that, because the person that brought ozone to me, I just never really felt, and this is a while ago, 10 years ago, I didn't believe them. Let's just put it that way.
Maybe you need to try
you and I can talk. You can talk about it now if you want. Yeah.
No, we can try a different therapy. But what they're saying is, ozone, pre-treat them with ozone and then stem cells, because it like wakes them up. And what we do, we also supercharge them with light. Mm-hmm. So light therapy, I don't know if people know much about it. I know everybody's talking about red light. Yeah. But when I was at this conference, they showed us how the true power of light, because it activates different cytochromes in mitochondria. So red light activates 1 and 3, whatever. Don't quote me on this, but the green light activates violet. So there's all these different cytochromes on the mitochondria. And they were talking about a patient who was doing all these like stunt jumps and like motorbikes, and like 16-year-old kid, of course. Next day, shows a picture, he's with a broken back in the ICU, intubated and everything, right? So the doctor said that he was never going to be able to walk again, talk, forget it. So they started shining very like specific light, these lasers, right, on like on the brainstem, like on the eyes, and he started like moving his hands the next day within like 24 hours. And then they were doing the therapy every hour. So the guy who invented the light, he said, just do it every hour, like for 10 minutes, whatever, like shine on his organs. The guy, the boy walked out of the hospital in like 3 weeks, which, doctors told him you'll never be able to walk, talk, whatever. So, and you could see the progression, because they were showing us the videos how he had this, this cortical position, then his hand dropped the next day. He started talking, walking. Like, it was insane. We underestimate the power of light. I thought this was like all woo-woo science, but then when you actually look at mitochondria and see what they're responsible for, each light activates a different thing. And I'm convinced that, if you keep your mitochondria healthy, that's the key to longevity. I know muscle is the organ of longevity, but I think the most important organelle in your body is your mitochondria. If you do anything to keep them happy, meaning, hyperbaric oxygen chamber, intermittent fasting, light therapy, cool and cold, like temperature exposure. So that's how you keep your mitochondria healthy.
I did all of that building up to my procedure. With the exception of the light therapy.
You should
look
into.
And the light therapy, and correct me if I'm wrong, I looked into it not too long ago, but it wasn't in the last few years. A lot of data is starting to come out now, where before it was, we don't know, very specific lights, very specific frequencies, wavelengths, and they're really dialing in. But people were just buying these crazy machines that like weren't dialed in. And so the data wasn't there, but I believe the data is starting to really come out now. I think it was really good for the face for a while now. It's amazing. I actually told this to someone yesterday. I'm like, buy the one for the face for sure. I got to look into the rest. But I started to see data coming out on this about the healing capabilities. And I think this is a new opportunity for people to optimize their health. But you still have to come to the core.
3 core pillars.
You have to come to the core of how to be healthy. And then you can start doing things. You don't have to be doing this Brian Johnson thing.
I met the guy. He's great.
But he's great. Thank you. But yeah.
But nobody, like realistically, nobody has time for that. Like a working mother of 3 is obviously not going to drink 80 supplements.
Or most of the people that can afford coming to our places, like they're very high moving, and by the time they get through that, now they're trying to, this is what happens often now. They're not too healthy, and now they're like, what can I do? What can I do? And it's like, okay. So you got to figure out, get to the core, and these are additional therapies that can help you feel amazing. But I agree, the mitochondria and what the physicians and the PhDs are looking at to do and optimize, and the studies coming out, it's going to be absolute game changer. And I think very few people thought about this, not until recently, but there's been, I think probably in the last 8 to 10 years, the really people on top have started doing about 8 to 10 years ago. And I think it's become much more manageable from your standpoint in the last few years, because medicine's moving fast, testing's moving fast, data's moving fast. It's easier to find the data. You don't have to go to a library anymore, thank God. And and it's arming you with what you need to do to optimize the patient.
Yeah. I really think we live in a very exciting time right now. Can you imagine, like 20 years ago, it was a completely different world. Now, with the tools that we have nowadays, I just think it's so exciting for both the patients and the physicians.
Yeah, it's just going to get more exciting.
Oh, it's going to get more.
Keep up
Gene
with your
therapy
healthcare.
is coming.
Oh, yes, it is. It is. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about or cover?
I think we talked about a lot of things.
I do too. That's why I asked. Just making sure. Well, that was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun.
Catch you guys later.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thank you for coming.
Bye.